How about the documents and the Winnipeg lab? Right, the Winnipeg lab had two scientists walked out, and Cheng and Qi, but I'm saying the Qi one wrong. And the government is asking, the Canada-China Relations Committee from the Standing Committee in Parliament is asking for the documents. 4 times they've demanded these documents. And so the government and the Speaker of the House did his job, and they brought the president of PHAC, Ian Stewart, to the bar in the House of Commons to chastise him, to shame him, publicly shame him for not doing what he was told, saying the Parliament has supremacy and can compel documents, full stop. The sitting government is not Parliament. If Parliament says we want this document, Parliament is supreme, not the government. But the government, Trudeau's government, is taking the Speaker of the House to court. Breaking, says Garnet Genius. The Liberal government is taking the Speaker to court for doing his job and enforcing the will of the House of Commons, all to keep secret documents about the Winnipeg lab. This is an unprecedented attack on parliamentary democracy. They also told a federal judge to go F herself when she ruled that she would examine the government's evidence for the gun ban. They declared the evidence so super secret and a threat to national security that not even a federal judge can see it. Right, and I'm going to show you the gun ban one in a minute, but this is worth going through. David Rakish says, "Hey, Justin Trudeau and David Lametti, Constitutional Law 101. Parliament is immune from judicial intervention. The judiciary does not have any jurisdiction over Parliament and parliamentary business operations. Case law Duffy and Viad, right, 2005 and 2020. This is and this is Michelle Rempel saying." Well, exactly what I just told you, but I think it's worth going through. So hold on a second. Let's let this load. Ooh, is it fast? Oh, it's fast today. Michelle Rempel says, the government of Canada is taking the Speaker of the House to court to seal the National Microbiology Lab docs. Is that even possible? Parliament is supreme. Also, what the heck is in these documents? What do you think is in these documents? We're talking about... Hold on. I've got more to show you. Then we'll speculate. Okay, it's too fun to not show you all of this before we speculate. Okay, sorry about this. I jumped the gun a bit. Oh my goodness. Jumped the gun. Here is the Prime Minister of Canada is taking the Speaker of the House to court. Now we get to see how well the system works. Okay, so where's China? Oh, I moved the China thing. Hold on. Okay, so here's the National Post reporting. Fired Winnipeg lab scientist listed as co-inventor on 2 Chinese government patents. Okay, the Federal Public Service Inventions Act says a government employee cannot file a patent outside the country without the minister's permission. The high-profile scientist who was fired from Canada's top infectious disease lab collaborated with Chinese government scientists on inventions registered in Beijing but closely related to her federal job, intellectual property documents indicate. Qi, and I'm sure I've got this wrong, Qi, who's also under investigation by the RCMP, is listed as an inventor on 2 patents filed by official agencies in China in recent years. One of the patents, listing her as a co-inventor with 5 other people, was filed with the Chinese National Intellectual Property Administration by the country's National Institute for Drug and Food and Drug Control. It describes an inhibitor for Ebola virus. Qi won fame in Canada for helping develop a treatment for Ebola, though the Chinese drug seems different. Seems different how, National Post? Did you call them up? You say, this is what we've got about this Ebola treatment. Can you tell us how it's different? Sure you did. Okay. The other patent includes Qi and 6 collaborators as inventors, was registered by the Inspection and Quarantine Technology Center of Fujian Province, and I've got that wrong, sorry about that. It's for a detection method or test for Marburg, a hemorrhagic fever similar to Ebola. Neither Chinese patent makes any mention of a Canadian government employer. The Federal Public Servants Inventions Act says that the federal government owns all inventions made by public servants that resulted from or is connected with his duties or employment, or her duties or employment. And the legislation says the government employee cannot file a patent outside the country without the minister's permission. Mark Johnson, a spokesman for Public Health Agency of Canada, refused to comment on whether Qi had obtained such permissions. Qi asked if the agency which administers the lab was even aware of the patents. He said, we cannot comment on this matter. Qi could not be reached about the issue and did not respond to previous phone messages left by the Post. Well, she's under RCMP investigation and also probably back in homeland China, right? Like, they were walked out by the RCMP in 2018. Oh, the National Post tried to reach out, but we got a busy signal. Yeah, okay, guys, sure. Right? Like, what garbage our media is. What absolute garbage. National Post says, this is a little bit on the nose, though. If her contract permitted it, it would be a scandal. If the contract didn't permit it, and they ignored the contract, that would be a scandal. If the contract didn't even turn its attention to this, that'd be a scandal too. So if they did it, that's a paddling. If they ignored it, that's a paddling. If they didn't even think of it, oh, you bet that's a paddling. Right? And this guy says, Rosemary Fry, so I don't know if there's any connection to Viva Fry there, says 2 Chinese nationals taking info from the lab. He doesn't mention their work is on the adrenovirus platform for vaccines, which China then used for its COVID vaccine. It's info Trudeau doesn't want the public to know. Well, there you go. There you go, right? Wild and crazy times. So what do you think? What's your speculation about all of this, right? What's in those docs, right? What in the world is in those documents? I have no idea. But they are certainly trying to hide everything they can about this, right? And making sure that parliamentary supremacy, like the parliament that we have had in Canada running things, yeah, maybe not so much when national security is involved, says the Trudeau government, except that no, that's not appropriate. Parliamentary supremacy. You can't fight this war, Parliament. We've got to fight it, and you can't ask us any questions. Also, we need a blank check. $2 or $3 trillion, please. Thank you very much. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely, it's crazy. Here's the government refusing to comply with the the court order for cabinet docs for the order in council about the guns, right? The Liberal government has taken steps to duck court orders seeking hundreds of documents that Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his cabinet relied on to ban hundreds of thousands of semi-automatic rifles and other weapons last year. In a surprise move, 10 days before a deadline to produce the material, the government served notice this week that it will not comply with the federal court order to provide cabinet documents and records behind the sudden imposition of the sweeping firearm ban. Instead, the government has turned to a section of the Canada Evidence Act that can prevent access by courts to cabinet documents, memos, and other material to keep information from cabinet deliberations confidential. The move sparked a storm among firearm owners and groups who began filing court challenges soon after the Liberals enacted the ban without notice on May 1st, 2020. The requests for government documents behind the ban were filed early in the case, and the government denied the requests last September on cabinet confidence grounds. So they don't want to produce documents for anything, and they're saying it's national security for everything. So when it's always national security and there's no accountability and no way to demand accountability, do you live in a free democratic society?
Mr. Speaker, the pandemic has laid bare the state of our institutions. There is no Governor General because of scandal. 8 senior leaders of the armed forces have resigned or been forced out. We have military procurement systems that cannot procure, and we have payroll systems that cannot pay. We have a government that thought it appropriate a year ago to introduce legislation that would have suspended the power of Parliament over taxation and spending until the end of this calendar year. A government that prorogued Parliament to shut down committee investigations. A government that continues to defy 4 orders of this House and its committee to hand over documents related to serious breaches at the Winnipeg lab that is now preventing this Parliament from doing its job. The government is in contempt of Parliament. The government does not deserve another mandate. The government must go.